In Paris, advocates are working to add a 51st star to the U.S. flag. This push for Washington, D.C. to become a state is ramping up with a bill moving through Congress, a march on the Mall, and the second ever Senate hearing to discuss the matter. Advocates say D.C. residents deserve representation in Congress, while opponents point to constitutional arguments against statehood for the nation's capital. Joining us with their respective perspectives are Zach Smith, legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, that's a conservative D.C. based think tank, and Jamal Holtz, lead advocate of the 51 for 51 campaign to give D.C. statehood. Welcome, both of you, to Chicago Tonight, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Jamal, let's start with you, please. What is your case for giving D.C. statehood?
Yeah, I mean, the fight for DC statehood for me, it's personal, and it roots back to the reason why I got involved into the movement. One, the ideals of this country are founded on the principles of no taxation without representation. And as we celebrate the 4th of July weekend coming up and celebrate independence, we can't truly celebrate independence where there are American citizens who are disenfranchised, who are majority Black and brown, who do not have their right to vote. And I say it's personal for me because when I got involved into this fight in 2014, it was during a time where the Affordable Care Act was under provisions and really giving American families, not Democrat or Republican, the American families, the basic right to be able to walk into a hospital and get treatment and get health and basic health insurance. That was something that myself or my mom didn't have before. So I wanted to advocate for it. I wanted to advocate to ensure that we had preventative care covered, that we had an opportunity and a voice in the halls of the Senate to advocate for our livelihood. And at that point, I knew my advocacy ended at the mayor's office, where I pour so much money as a taxpayer into the federal government that's supposed to represent me. But in return, I get nothing. I don't even get a vote. I don't get a voice. I don't get the opportunity to advocate on the Hill for the issues that not only affect
you've told our producer that you could not call your senator because as a D.C. resident, you do
Right.
not have one. Zach, though, what is your concern with this movement? What is your case against D.C. gaining statehood?
Well, I think before we even get to the question of whether DC should become a state, we have to ask whether DC should become a state in the way that's currently being proposed. And that way is through simple legislation. And unfortunately, what I haven't heard from Jamal or from a lot of other proponents of DC statehood is addressing the constitutional issues with achieving a change in the status of the district in this manner through simple legislation. So even if you were to agree with Jamal and other proponents of DC statehood, there are very serious constitutional concerns with achieving it through simple legislation. And historically, this hasn't been a partisan issue. Both Democratic and Republican justice departments have traditionally agreed that a constitutional amendment would be needed in order to change the status of the District of Columbia.
And Jamal, to Zach's point, is it necessary by constitutional amendment?
The Constitution outlines that Congress has the powers to admit new states, and that's just plain and simple. What we see with the District of Columbia becoming a state, and we've passed with 86% of American citizens who live in the District of Columbia said we want to be a state. And per our recommendation, the Constitution says nothing about how big the District of Columbia should be. It says how small it doesn't say it doesn't say something how small it can be, but it does say something about how big it can't be. So what we're proposing as DC residents, as American citizens, is that we shrinking our federal district down to the White House and the monuments and the things that people come to Washington D.C. for the fancy attractions, and make a state, the Douglas Commonwealth, where people live and raise their families.
And Zach,
and that's just plain and simple.
And Zach, obviously there's concern about the method, the route through which advocates are taking, but do you also have concerns about DC being a state itself?
Well, I think you would have to acknowledge that the district would be unique. It would be 17 times smaller in landmass than our next smallest state. There would currently be 19 cities that would be larger than the District of Columbia. And right now, at least with the current proposal that's on the table, there are very real questions outstanding about how the district would fund certain services, especially the court system and the prisons. Currently, the district does not pay for those services. The federal government does. And the current proposal would essentially have the federal government to pay for those services indefinitely. But I think we have to talk about the Constitution again briefly. Because to Jamal's point, yes, every other state after the original 13 colonies that's come into the Union have been admitted by simple legislation. But so what? That's constitutionally irrelevant because no other state enjoys the unique status of the district. No other state was expressly provided for in the Constitution like the District of Columbia. It's unique. And so, again, if the status of the district is going to be changed, then the appropriate mechanism to accomplish that is through a constitutional amendment and not through the simple legislative process.
Look, the history of disenfranchisement is always tied to racism and subjugation. Disputes about statehood have always been about race. Segregationists didn't want to admit Hawaii and Mexico into the Union because their population was majority people of color. And just like DC now, you got senators like Tom Cotton and other Republicans using coded dog whistles and language that says DC doesn't have real people or DC doesn't have car dealerships, which is all racist dog whistles around what this fight is truly about. It's about giving Black and brown residents. It's about giving Black and brown residents their right to vote. There's nothing unconstitutional about giving American citizens who pay federal taxes and giving them a vote in the Congress that's supposed to represent them.
And gentlemen, we've got about 45 seconds left, and I want to pose this question very quickly to both of you. Great deal of support in Congress from Democrats, obviously serious Republican opposition. Do either of you think that this bill creating State of Washington, Douglas Commonwealth, has legs in the Senate? Zach, to you first, please.
Well, look, I have to address Jamal's last point. I think tying opposition to DC statehood to racism is unfortunate. It's an attempt to impugn the motives of those. And as the Department of Justice report that examined the issue said, this isn't a racial issue. It's not a civil rights issue. It's a constitutional issue that goes to the very core of a Republican form of government. And to your question, right now, DC statehood in the Senate certainly faces an uphill battle. But it will be very interesting to see what happens.
Jamal, 10 seconds.
I'll just say what the comments like Zach has said is what racist Republicans have always said on the Hill. And it's what we heard in 1960s where they didn't want to give African Americans their right to vote. Right now is the opportunity to correct the stain in our democracy and give American citizens their right to vote. And that's simple through DC statehood and 51 votes in the Senate.
Okay. This is a debate that'll go on for a long time, or we'll see how much longer it goes on, actually. For now, my thanks to both of you, Zach Smith and Jamal Holtz, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.